In 2013, I was assigned to the U.S. Consulate in Jerusalem. While I was serving at the consulate, the Consul General Michael Ratner invited vendors from the Old City, Israeli and Palestinians, to come to the consulate grounds to sell their wares to mission personnel and staff. While perusing the tables of the different vendors, I came upon an antique map dealer who sold old, large-scale framed maps. While perusing the maps, my eye caught a small, nondescript gold frame resting on the ground against another map. As I knelt down to get a closer look, I immediately recognized that the frame contained not a map, but a Purple Heart certificate. It had been posthumously awarded to a soldier, technician 5th grade Robert Mathis. I asked the map dealer if he knew what the certificate actually was and how he came into its possession, and he told me he'd acquired it just a few years ago, and it was more of a curiosity than anything. He was hoping to find somebody at the consulate who might want to buy it.
"How much?" I asked. $100, he said. I took $100 out of my wallet and I tossed it on the table. And then I took the certificate. As I walked away from the map dealer, I told him I was going to find the family of Robert Mathis.
I was tasked by Lieutenant Colonel Yandura to find the next of kin of the Purple Heart certificate earned by technician 5th grade Robert Mathis. I was just at the right place at the right time. I spoke with the right people to find the next of kin. I helped organize the ceremony and explain the history of what the Purple Heart is and what technician 5th grade Robert Mathis was. I'm speechless. I'm still so very emotional. Just to be a small part of something that's just so big is really special. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Today was an incredible ceremony and celebration of my great-uncle Robert and his service to America as a U.S. Army soldier during World War II. I originally got a random message on Twitter from retired Colonel Gil Pacheco. He found some of the historical documents dating back to my family's history, which ultimately led to me. He contacted me and we learned a lot about what was happening and what needed to happen to reunite us with the Purple Heart. The process is a series of all that's great about America, all that's great about humanity, and people just doing the right thing when getting nothing in return. So I felt great about it from the start, and most importantly, I felt great about learning so much about my own family history, which embarrassingly I knew very little about. So I'm going to hold on to the medal in Atlanta, and then ultimately it will be passed on to my brother and my brother's children for them to keep for the next generation.
I also think that there's an incredible immigrant story here, and it involves citizens and aspiring citizens like Robert Mathis, who came to the United States but still raised his hand to volunteer in a military that welcomed him. And then he went off to fight for a country, whom he had just become a member of. The family, they opened up their hearts and their homes and their lives to us, to really perfect strangers. And they took a chance on us. And I'm grateful. I think the whole thing gives me a great sense of hope. And they also now understand why soldiers who were separated by generations would do such a thing for each other. If you put goodness into the world, it's contagious. Really perfect strangers, and they took a chance on us, and I'm grateful. I think the whole thing gives me a great sense of hope.